Good morning, friends. Welcome back to Astrology Today and Tarot. My name is Mel Rose. This is the Tarot portion in the second half of my daily astrology vlog, which you can check out on my other channel, Astrology Today with Mel Rose. Here, I will discuss the tarot card that sits on the side of the page. Then I'll do a quick review of the day's aspects before I play another card that may give us something more to think about. Let's get into it. The card that currently sits on the side of the page is the Five of Wands. And the Five of Wands is there because it represents in astrology the first 10 days or the first decan of the sun's transit in the land of Leo. So Leo is a fire sign. Wands in tarot represent fire. And fire element symbolism is about spark, drive, passion, those feelings that motivate us to take action. That drive us forward on our quest. And here with the Five of Wands, we see sort of a fight and a fracas. So we see a little bit of a struggle. Fives in tarot tend to be a little bit of a moment of like, oh wait, this isn't what I've been trying to do, right? Or a moment of that sort of gives us reason to think that we may not be able to go forward. Okay, so here we see five people, each with their own big wand, which is, representative of their drive and their passion and their spirit and their spark, and their enthusiasm for something. And they're kind of in a bit of a competition or a rivalry. Somebody's trying to come out on top, a little bit of a struggle for dominance here. But notice that, it's really a clean fight, okay? Everybody's hitting above the belt. It doesn't look like anybody's actually trying to hurt anyone else. So, a little bit of healthy competition and rivalry, that can be a good thing. It can help us remember, why we are doing what we're doing, why we have the drive and passion that we have, and what we want to do with it, what we think is best. And this can become like a sort of even if it's a little bit of a competitive spirit, it's also a sharing of ideas. So we can sort of get an idea of what the strengths and weaknesses are of the competition among people who have the same kind of drives and passions that we have. So just remember that when you find yourself in this sort of competition or conflict or rivalry with people who have similar passion to yours, similar ideas to yours, it's not necessary to come out on top in this moment, okay? And B, when somebody comes at you with a little bit of competitive jabbing or, swinging their stick around, as long as they're hitting above the belt, you hit above the belt. We're not out for blood here, okay? So engage in that competition if you want to, and do it with your best intentions for yourself and the others involved. Engaged. Okay, with that said, I'm going to go ahead and shuffle some cards while I remind myself and the cards that the sun is in Leo and so is Mercury. So this is a time when, we each have our own way in which our own stuff that we bring to the table, our own way in which we shine. We know what we're good at. We know what we love to do. We feel a certain passion and drive, and we can express that through action that really kind of allows others to see how good we are. And, that's the sun in our natal charts is an expression of our spirit, our soul. It shines past the mask of the personality. Mercury is also in Leo at this time, so it's a time to be really thinking and planning and expressing in terms of that sort of next level grandeur that we imagine for ourselves. On the moon side, we have a waxing crescent moon, just a few more days to the new moon here on Thursday, and currently, in Gemini, making ingress to Cancer this afternoon. So, we go from sort of a communicating, thinking about things, planning vibe into more of a taking care, nurturing, and protecting vibe in the middle of the day. And in any case, that waning gibbous is asking us to let go of things that no longer serve us. So, in Cancer, letting go of things that no longer serve us would be sort of like impulses to care for people who don't desire our care or who don't, respond well to it, or impulses, just to rely on certain attachments or certain emotional crutches or ways of being that no longer are really serving us, okay? And then on the moon side of the page today, the moon goes square to Neptune, which is in retrograde at 3:14 this morning, so really early. And, normally this would be a time when it would be easy to get confused or to be deceived either by ourselves or by others, either intentionally or not. But, Mercury is in retrograde. And so, our illusions are becoming transparent to us. We really kind of can't be fooled at this time. So instead, what might happen instead of indulging in an illusion is that we may come across some information, some realization or discovery that we would rather not have made, right? So, the challenge at this time then is going to be to be able to radically accept what is and to not try to push ourselves into denial or fantasy when we really cannot, be deceived at this time, even if we are willing ourselves to do so. And then we have this void of course section of the day that is 9.5 hours. And, this is a great time when the moon is between the last aspect in the sign of Gemini and the time when it moves into Cancer. It's like the moon is not really in either of those signs at that time, so its influence is coming to us more directly, and it's easier for us to connect on the feeling and intuitive level with ourselves and with spirit at that time. So, get into your reflective practices, your grounding, intuitive, creative practices, whatever it is that helps you calm the mind and focus the intent so that you can have those important conversations with yourself and others, with yourself and with spirit about what it is that you're trying to accept. And then after that 9.5 hour void, of course, the moon moves into Cancer at just about 1 o'clock this afternoon. That's the 2.5 day transit. And this is just a time when we seek to nurture and protect ourselves, our homes, and those people we keep close from the heart. It's on our heart to do that. On the sun side of the page, we have all ongoing column stuff. Mercury is trine to Jupiter and Venus is square to Jupiter, okay? So Jupiter is always good fortune. And, with Mercury trine to Jupiter, it's good fortune in planning. We can get a really good envision. We can envision very well that bigger, better, more expanded, more well-resourced future that we seek for ourselves, and we can, because we can see it so clearly, we can sort of plan in that direction, and our plans in that direction are being blessed at this time, but with positive outcomes, but also just sort of like under the auspices of spirit saying, yes, you can have this if you work with these energies. Venus is square to Jupiter at this time, and square usually represents a challenge, but right now the challenge is just not to be too serious. So we can look into the future, we can plan, we can be very receptive and open, we can be very generous with others, we can be very good company at this time, but we want to keep it light. There's not a lot of seriousness where Jupiter is involved. It's really, it's really just about dreaming and imagining what could be bigger, what more we could learn, where we could go, and what kind of bigger things we could do for ourselves. So while we're planning and while we're dreaming and while we're sharing good company, let's just try not to make any like hard and fast commitments, at least until we get out of that Venus square Jupiter there. Let's see, North Node is conjunct to Uranus at this time, and North Node is about our current trajectory, which this is all happening in Taurus, so it's about, feeling the stability through reliable receipt of resources. And, Uranus has been transiting in Taurus saying, yeah, we're going to mess with your supply chains, your resource, the availability of your resources is going to be unreliable for a while. And we've seen that in the real world. And then, North Node comes conjunct. And so it's like, okay, this is our trajectory, and we can almost sort of see it changing before our eyes. Like there are different timelines available, or there are different outcomes that might come from the path we move forward on at this time. And that can be a little bit stressful. We just want to make sure to remember that, if you wake up in a bed every morning and you've got a roof over your head and you've got coffee in the kitchen and food in the fridge, you have a whole lot of your needs and desires are already being met. Okay, so be grateful for what you have and stand in the understanding of that stability and security you currently feel. And as long as you keep moving in the direction that helps you maintain that level of security for yourselves, then we'll be able to get through this. Okay, don't freak out because it feels kind of stressful and buzzy. It feels like things are wobbling back and forth when it comes to our reliable resources, and that can be very anxiety producing. But understand that we have a future that we are imagining right now, and it does include the security of reliable resources. And we may not even know right now exactly what that's going to look like, but it will be there for us. Sun is in opposition to Pluto, which is in retrograde right now. Pluto's dragging us through these deep and total personal changes, final retrograde in Pluto and Capricorn for the rest of our lives. So, we might just be completely different people coming out of the other side of this Pluto retrograde. And Sun in opposition here indicates a potential for struggle, for sort of power plays, right? or at least power struggles, or a struggle for control with yourself even. And you got to ask yourself, if you get into one of these sort of power struggles, you got to ask yourself whether it's worthwhile to be there, whether you really want to be in that fight, whether you think it's worth it to keep seeking to establish dominance there. Because there's this beautiful thing that happens if we can realize that the fight is not really for a reason, or it's not really going to gain us very much. There's really something to be gained from knowing how to disengage in the fight and the fracas, and just gain some personal freedom and the power of being able to move forward without that struggle. Saturn is retrograde, and this is a time when we recommit to our participation in civic life. We know how much we've been participating in those networks and structures that support us, and we know what kind of support we're receiving as well. So, if we're not giving as good as we get, it's going to be really obvious to us at this time, and we're going to be asked to recommit. Sun is trying to Neptune, which is retrograde. Neptune retrograde is pulling off the mask, like pulling off the blindfold, really revealing the illusions and fantasies for what they are, which is not to say it makes them disappear, just that we can tell the difference between our dream and our reality. And then the Sun comes in trying to Neptune in retrograde and says, yes, and so I gain this outer life compassion for the realities of people around me, especially people who are experiencing need. And it's a great time to find a way to help out, to take advantage of a volunteer opportunity, to drop off food at the pantry, or just find some other way to show up in community for people in a way that really helps them out in a solid way. And then Chiron is retrograde. This can help us to heal our old social wounds. Okay, we learn all the time new ways to heal, whether we are aware of them or not. And a lot of us have been through social wounding experiences where we were excluded, or worse yet, perhaps even made fun of or mocked, and that can be a very painful experience, but it doesn't have to remain our experience. And as we grow and change and learn about ourselves and about how people are in the world, we can turn the information we have come across back toward ourselves at this time while Chiron is retrograde, and just take a look at those old social wounds and see how much do we really need to protect ourselves? How much do we really need to hide behind these defenses that we have put up? However well they may have worked for us in the past, they might be actually limiting our ability to engage in the world. And I have a feeling, because we've got these Saturn retrograde and Sun trine Neptune in retrograde that are both saying, hey, think about your outer life, think about your commitment to the community, think about ways that you can help out, that those social and civic experiences might be part of the key to finding that healing for your old social wounds. So with all of that said, I'm going to go ahead and turn this card. Oh, we got the Fool. Well, y'all, I love the Fool. The Fool is me, and I'm the Fool. We can all kind of see ourselves in the Fool from time to time because, the Fool is just a person who is at the beginning of their journey, and they're sort of just following their heart or following what their senses tell them in regards to, what direction they should go. They don't necessarily even know where it's taking them or what kind of journey they're setting out on. They just have some idea what general direction, and they're moving that way. Right? And this Fool has a little puppy at their heels, sort of, trying to, it looks like that it's kind of trying to warn them not to walk off the cliff, right? So there's a warning there to listen to your instinctive nature, to listen to your intuition, and be ready to be alert and to protect yourself so that you don't have any terrible mishaps just as you're getting started on this journey. But otherwise, the Fool is just sort of footloose and fancy free. They may have done many things in their lives. They may have completed many parts of their experience, but this one is new. This journey they're on is new, and they're just sort of inexperienced and wide open to it. And this is sort of, who we are in our sense of spirit. And I get that. I'm getting that from the 0 number for the Fool and from the Sun up here. Both are symbolized as circles, which is sort of like the complete whole. We enter our adventures here, with this sense that we are already complete and that we are just ready to have a new experience. And, how do I see this on the page? Well, we have a lot of opportunities for expression of ourselves at this time. The Sun is in Leo, and so is Mercury. And this person kind of has the sun shining on them and is just sort of like, yes, I'm dressed in this fabulous manner and I look good, and wherever it is I'm going, I'm positive that I am sufficient to face the challenge, right? So that can be a very Leo vibe when you think about it. And also, sort of being generous and receptive at the same time, like not having a lot of seriousness about us as we sort of plan for the future and dream about what might be coming up, but also, being open to planning and being just open to connection with others that might bring us forward on our little trip. And taken together with the 5 of Wands, I see, what do I see here? Well, again, this is, a story about a fight and a fracas, or sort of a competition of wills, or a competition of passions or enthusiasms that we may or may not choose to engage in. And the Fool is the kind of person who's going to, maybe walk right by a fight and a fracas like this and not even notice that it's happening, avoid it entirely, and move forward on the journey, and in their own innocent, sort of foolish way, wind up getting ahead of the people who stopped to argue. So again, I think this is like guidance to sort of step back or step away from the fight and fracas if you really don't think you need to be involved in it. Like, give that some thought. But another thing I see is, sometimes people see us, people in our community, people in our social sphere, see us kind of going off in a new direction and maybe not even caring so much about the things that they are passionate about and that they think we should all be passionate about. Sometimes people see us going off to live a more carefree lifestyle, or going off to, sort of off of our own personal map or outside of what they would normally expect to see us doing. And And that causes them to sort of have to comment out of spite or out of impatience or out of even sort of envy for our ability to just sort of put everything down and walk away and start something new. And you'll see this looks like uh, this looks like sort of a social media post where somebody says, to heck with it, I quit my job, I moved out of my house, I'm going to drive a truck all over the country and see what happens, right? And this person has a number of followers, and some of them think that's a great idea, and some of them think that's a terrible idea, and they're in there fighting among themselves about what you should do and how you should act and what you should have said, and asking, what about me, what sort of where do I fit into your equation, right? And so you see these people sort of getting into it in the comments section below your post, where you're like, I'm done here, I'm off on a new tangent, and if that's the case, I always say keep calm and disregard the trifling, right? If you're going to make an announcement of some kind or make it clear to the people who watch you or who care about you that you are going to go do something new, and to heck with the consequences, you just have a feeling that if you move in this direction, you're going to be okay, let them have their little arguments, let them fight and tussle over it, let them be, embittered or fired up about it. And personally, I would say just don't even read the comments sections, right? Stick those earbuds in your ears, get your dog with you, and ease on down the road. And I believe that's all I have to say about it today, friends. Thank you so much for joining me. I truly appreciate your presence here. My name is Mel Rose, and I'll see you all back here tomorrow for more Astrology Today and Tarot.